Hey guys, Francis the Market Sniper. Our trading day on the non-farm, there was this little bit of spike of activity here. I'm going to zoom it in just a little bit, but this is kind of a recovery narrative for the pound. So let's give you some of the bigger perspective first on this. So you've had a few bouncy periods, a little bit uppity up. You can see that we got a little bit of structure here towards continuation, and then we got a nice little move up over here. You would have probably had to take that as your H3, and you've done okay since this first move in a new trend. Here we go. This is a very rough draw. We have a draw tool to do a more accurate draw, and that is over there. We should have done this earlier because it might have given us useful key levels of significance. So I have already done a few clips on this now already. So that's where the target is for this particular draw. Let's do it properly. Damn, why do you ever do something badly? It's never worth doing badly. Start again. So I was going to actually work on the other HVF, but this is a bigger one, and it's kind of like a first in a new trend, and it is relevant. So let's do it properly. Always do it properly. Stop yourself. There's no such point in doing a rough cut version. So this was a while ago. This was January. Yes, some while ago. And then it pulled all the way back there. So we're going to go with this being a first setup in a new trend. Why? Let's make sure. You should always have the monthly, but I can show you what happened there. And that was a low, and then that is a low. So you can argue, yep, we failed to make a new low. We haven't made a new high yet, but we no longer made a new low. So could this bounce here be part of a new trend? That was a down setup that had a nice capitulation on it. So that's why we're doing this. And so if you're taking that as first setup in a new trend, which is kind of using some hindsight intelligence now, because we've seen that the market obviously moved impulsively here, you can do that because it's for information purposes. This draw, it's clearly not going to, you're not going to be able to enter over here. The entry has already taken place. So we need to check and get these 3 points really, really spot on right. So we want the point at which this has now moved 50% safely. So what you want to do, we'll just put a working to one there. We want to go like that. Where have we first crossed the 50% line? And you can see literally these highs here, these highs there. So we can move that tag down. What is the highest point that happened? Now we went really, really still. Little test to the top, little test back in. So the funneling actually was here. And that was the beginning of your break. Where's the low? It's going to be exceedingly tight. It's okay to draw it like that. That was your final funneling. You did have a little bit of impulsiveness before, but you can't take that as your H3. It hasn't done 50%. So a little bit of info for you there. So it's the low there. You should drop a time frame again. Always drop the time frames. Keep dropping so that you get the draw right. Go like that. Pull it through. Pull it through. Take these things off so you can pull it through instead of mess around like I am doing. And then that is such low volatility. You can see it. And that little magenta hammer there is your low, and that there is your high. We're really splitting hairs here. But that is your correct, because then your move starts, you get your return move, then you start drifting, and then there's a proper break. Properly. So let's do that and insert the tool. Ta-da-ta-da. Insert the tool, he says. Wow. Be careful. So now we've got an issue here because I've already drawn HVFs afterwards. So the draw tool always draws on the latest pin. So we've just gone and done a draw upon a draw. So I want to delete that. I'm going to delete that and go. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to that earlier draw for a reason. Because I've already put levels in here, it's already done a draw. So remember that I've got to go back and put a structure on there for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of things. Here's the current draw. So let's go right down. So I'm jumping around a bit. Excuse me for this. So let's finish with this. That's the target. I'm a little bit high there, but I think that 130 will probably be run in the take of that. Now there is scope as a first for overperformance, which is another reason why I've gone higher. And I could also my thinking is we're going to have the 130 run, in fact. But part of me thinks, we've got to stick to structure, but we've also got to have over-performance scope in here. So, you'll see how you'll play it depending on how many entries you have. I have other entries, multiple entries on other platforms. So this is my demonstrator. Usually I don't have much more in live money than a few £100 in this, because this is what I'm showing to everyone. And let's have a look at what happened after the break. So you got your break, you got your revisit, you got your touch to your second interim, and then you died. You came back into the funnel. But all of this is structure as well, HVF structure. So let's see why I put all these levels in. In other words, I've begun to identify a wind up that was sitting on the break level, literally through the middle of this break level. Look like we're actually going to run that target right now. I'm going to just put it on there because I want to put over performance in there. I'm just going to keep it away. I don't want it to close just yet. So while we're talking, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you why we've done another draw, and then we'll go all the way back to that first setup in the new trend. So bouncing around like a jackrabbit, and I hope you're staying with me, and thank you for your patience. And I'm going to ask you a favor as well at the end of this clip, because I do a lot of free stuff on YouTube, and I'm hoping you guys will weigh in for me. So here's an H1, here's an L1, here's an H2, and here's an L2. Now we need to see where is the high 3 and the low 3. Look at that grind line. You break away from those typically. The volatility is returned by the time you get to here. So how do we determine what's going on in here? Well, we need to have a closer look. How do you do that? Well, you pull the chart through first of all, and you get it all the way through. And maybe I need to zoom out a little bit so we get it all the way through. So here we go. Here's our H3. It is 50% of this H2, and we've got our low 3 there as well. So there's the H3 and L3. We got a little bit impulsive, break and feign back in. Then we got the momentum. Then you get your full-blown second chance. Then you get your emergence. That second interim run again. We fail again at the second interim. Often progress to decay at the second interim. We fail again after the second interim, but this time we hold. And since then we've been in a holding pattern now, looking mildly bullish. You're seeing the market live very close to the target. So that is how it looks. Let's just pull that so it looks acceptable. So let's do this draw and see what is it telling us. But you might see why I'll pull this target back here and let this trade close. There may be a good reason. Let's see. So if we go back up to the 15 minutes, you've now seen why we chose that H3 and L3. They look like they're piled on top of each other on the bigger time frame. Let's do the draw. So the way the tool works is I made this one permanent, the previous one, and it searches from the right. So it's going to come and it's going to find the H3 and the L3, then the H2 and the L2, and then it does the draw retrospectively. So let's have a look. Insert. Indicators custom. There's the draw tool. You get this with your HVF trading metamorphosis program. Those that are interested in learning how to do this properly and to make a lifestyle transition, we leave it as inverted false. In other words, we want bullish. Watch it. I'm going to do the draw. Boom. There's the draw. Isn't that amazing? The second interim absolutely dovetails with the first interim of the big pattern. Note how after it ran its own first interim, it came all the way back to its own axis. Note how it's run its all the way up here, pulled back, stalled on the first interim, and the targets confluence absolutely exactly. So the geometry from there to there versus the geometry from the H1 to the L1 on the bigger chart structure is entirely consistent and giving you, so as far as it's moved up, it's also giving you slightly less geometry. That it turns out they're both giving the exact same target. I call that a confluence of levels, and one not to be ignored. So for the scale that this particular trading platform resembles, this is not a great boost to the target at all, and I would just pop it there and let the target be run. So that's where we are on the GBPUSD. That is how it is. By the way, so I'm going to just log in real quick into CMC Markets. So I also use this as a demonstrator because it shows the amount that is on risk in the tickers. I have other accounts that I trade, and I'm very heavily weighted crypto at the moment. But this one I hadn't looked in a while when we did trading day, and I'd even forgotten we had an equity trade on in BAH, which is Booz Allen Hamilton, found by one of my own students, by the way. I'm very proud of him. So everybody, this is a totally transferable skill if you get it right, but there's much more than I can cover in a YouTube clip and much greater detail to do this correctly, and many people have tried just from following and they don't get the full Monty at all. So you can see an account balance. I'd largely drawn it all out and down, but it's gone and made some profits again. Don't you hate that when that happens? So this is the P&L for it. I put the pounds. There was only the Booz Allen trade on, which had was actually up £1,000 then. It's had a slight pullback, but I did top up on it. So that's the Booz Allen trade. Let's make these. I was watching this on my big screen, so now I'm on the laptop recording. All these charts are too big. So what we've actually got here is that break. That was the Booz Allen trade on this HVF that we were sharing and discussing in Basecamp. Has to have a pullback after a major upside gap. That will be a results driven. Tired a bit, had a gap, and then hammered out, and I actually topped up a wee bit there. And then this is the pound, which is what we're discussing here today. So I've done a number of updates on this and showing this. And one of the reasons I'm going a little bit out of showing this is I'll talk to you now, and it regards that favor that I'm asking you for. So here's the other one. And there's the stops for the original entries post the non-farm. That's post the gap down on the London Bridge. And that is the traditional entry as a top-up on the way there. And this is where we're at. Now, I'm going to put some of these, one of these, I've got some of these that are looking for the full 130 run, but I might actually bring just to the HVF target because I'm expecting overperformance. I've got some of these even beyond 130, but I'll probably close one of them on the traditional target. So we can go back to the draw tool, even though the data is slightly different in a different platform. We can just make sure of that target. 29,734 for that, but the other one was possibly slightly higher, 29,738. That's not significantly different. So 29,73 on the ETX data on the MT4 on this small platform, and we'll have a closure there. So I will take the traditional entry, which was the late one, and I'll change the target to 1.2973. So that's currently showing a £71 gain. It had a risk of £53, and now it'll make £82 on closure. So I've pulled it back quite a bit. So it wasn't a particularly high reward, 53 to 82. I don't typically trade that, and it makes me want to actually leave this particular one a little higher because we don't normally take those, but I'll let it close anyway. The others risk rewards are far more spectacular. This was quite a broad funnel, by the way, quite a broad funnel. And as a result, it wasn't attractive. It was about a 1.2 risk reward. We did a whole money management on trading day on this, but these early entries have changed that entirely. So if we just click on that, you can see now that's a £41.80 risk for a 793 gain. So that's almost it's double. Almost double, because that's almost 800 and that's almost 40 times 10. So you're looking at almost certainly a 19:1 trade there. The stop initially was not as good originally. It was under here, but very quickly we were able to move it there. So it was about a 10:1 just before, and now it's a 19:1, and very similar for that entry as well. These are the risk rewards we are interested in. The traditional entry, as I say, I'd probably keep that. I'm going to change it. I just can't do a trade that's making 1.5. I'm going to leave it at 130. And if I have to, I'll move one of the others. I do think we're going to get a 130 run, and we're going to get one over performance. So that's going to be about a 50:125, which is slightly more respectful. I just can't do crappy risk rewards, and I do think we're getting over performance. Wrestling with my conscience there. Okay, something I just want to show you. I got something put up here by a guy called JL Trader. Someone had asked about the Market Sniper. Someone called Dan, what do you know about the Market Sniper? And then I picked up these two comments from this individual. Smooth salesman, apparently. No evidence he's trading a live account and no signs of track record. And then doubting that I ran a fund and that I worked for Trium Capital and that I ever had a property company which made a certain amount of revenue. Not that that's got a great deal to do with trading in my view, but it has a great deal to do with integrity. And I can confirm all those things are accurate, and I'm doing a blog post to reply. And then I had another chap here who I don't recognize as ever having done a course with me, and he largely says what often happens on these debunking sites, everybody who teaches is a fraud. The large majority of trades that he supposedly takes fail. The ones that actually deliver are so few and far between that you lose more money than you make. He started teaching because he would have gone hungry, basically, is the long and short of that. So I do a lot free for YouTube to help guys that are at a retail level without charge. A lot of people learn a lot from me. And I do that because I feel for the retail trader. There's some people that can get the full service option, and there's many that don't. I get a lot of comments saying thank you for what you've done, both on the YouTube channel and direct emails. And it's slightly hurtful when people that haven't even paid and done a course are making a claim. He hasn't provided a list of losing trades and evidence at all to justify his claims. As you can probably see, this is how we're at as we're seeing this. This is not where my money is. This is my money is in cryptos and is of different scale. But I did have a small amount in here, and we did live trading. So if we do live trading days, I always do live trades. And if we're looking at the FX markets, as I say, at the moment, I'm more focused on cryptos. But this is the P&L, and you get to see that. You get to see what's in that account. It's $3,000. You can see that $2,000 of that is profit. I'd actually, before I went to New York, brought it largely down to $1,000. So it's not significant, but this is what a good P&L should look like. 5 entries and 5 green numbers. I do think that the probabilities of Booz Allen returning to the 1,000 plus that it was and going to target are quite strong, given that upside break and the quality of the setup. And that was my students' find, not mine. So I'm not claiming credit for that. In fact, we are very good at giving credit to whoever locates trades. And I have a target of 43 if I can just get this thing to show you where it is. So the profit on that would be about triple what it is now if it makes target, which it still has to do. Although I did put a little cheeky little extra buy in there after the hammer in there on a very small scale to top up. So you've got to decide, do I trade? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. You tell me. In terms of what you think, I'd be interested in your responses to these people, because this has come up on searches with other people now. The amazing thing about the internet is somebody can put something up who hasn't even used your course and say that they all fail. It appears we have 2 winners at the moment, and if you could see my crypto performance, although I think the crypto market is exceptional, our crypto performance over and above that which the coins are organically doing, I think you'd be shocked, and the scale of what's going on in there and the account size. But you know, you can't, there's certain things that are not other people's business. This guy, I don't know who he is. He's not provided his name. He hasn't got a receipt for ever having attended anything paid for me. Is he some guy who followed on Twitter? Thankfully, there was another student that called Malcolm, who I do know, or someone who has paid for us. He has participated with me before. I think he's done trading days, and he's helped bring some balance in that. But I'm going to put this guru's link in here, and if you guys can share your own opinions about who's authentic and who's not. What you don't ever want to become. There are a lot of people that put themselves forward as traders that are just marketeers and don't trade. What you don't ever want to become, though, is a perpetual victim and always loser, and everybody else is a fraud, because then you sound like somebody who's bitter, who can't learn anything, and someone who's always losing. And I think sometimes I'm all for debunking crooks, but sometimes certain folk don't think, and it's quick and easy to knock someone you know very little about. And if you felt like commenting, I'd appreciate that, and tell them what you think about the market sniper and what he's done for you, if he's done anything good. My last YouTube clip actually on an FX trade was the Turkish lira, where I said get long the Turkish lira, you'll have a positive carry, a massive differential in interest rates between the dollar and you'll be short the dollar. That's a very tough trade to put on and to make. It's a very tough call to make when you have a dictator that's just winning a one-sided election in a country that's been under duress for a long time. In fact, we've had 6 trades in a row to the upside on this one before that. But at the moment so far, it's churning along. It's still got some time, and you've made positive carry, and you've got profit from a short you would have taken there. You can decide what you want to make of this guy, and if you choose to support me, it's appreciated. And here we go. This is the trend since 2012. We were taking longs on the lira, and we had the better part of 6 trades. Those are all the big time frame ones, and there were others in that over the space of the last 4-5 years. So that's one for you to consider if you care. It's appreciated, and this is the link where you can copy, post your comments. Thanks for watching, and that is the update on the pound, and it's also the update on Booz Allen, and it is also a wee fly past on the Turkish lira. Keeps biasing to you. Dollar weakness is my feel. Someplace where I'm happy to admit we're probably going to be proven wrong is the Euro USD. We certainly don't claim to get everything right at all. In fact, with the risk rewards we get, we can be wrong a lot if you're doing 18:1 risk rewards. This is looking like a rising wedge, and it probably pop out the top and will finally fail the long saga of the euro. And some people have said, you'll be wrong on that one, and I could well be. That moment may well have come. So with the change of Trump coming in and calling in Merkel, I'll be the first to say we trade continuation. We continue to assume continuation. It was one of the big setups, but it was late in the trend, and it may fail. And that could indeed be the case. So that would probably be my single biggest known big time frame one that hasn't gone to plan that I would put my hand up to. We'll wait for that level. It's at this point over here for that to materialize. And you will see it at the 113,675, and that's coming up shortly. So that would mean the end of the end of the continuation probably for the Euro USD, certainly for now. And that's one I'll say, we are probability game. We're going to get some of them wrong. We trade continuation, and every now and then something reverses, and this will be an example of that. With that, I love you and leave you, and thank you for your support, those that choose to support me, and we will be talking soon further about trading and all things FX. Follow, by the way, the other YouTube channel on the crypto, so I'm pushing the crypto stuff if you're interested in crypto through the crypto crack up wealth channel, so do that, and follow at the Crypto Sniper, which is the sister handle for the Market Sniper, which is more specifically crypto as well. This is for people that are interested in the likes of Ethereum, Bitcoin, and all the others, and the views on the technical market there. I'm putting a lot of attention there. We're getting more, even better setups and more consistency with very powerful trending markets, which the strategy suits exceedingly well as well. Okay, talk to you later, and thank you for your help and support in this matter.